This is the Pete Wong Podcast, sharing the things that I love with those that I love. I've always wanted to talk about the things that I care about in life. People have told me time after time, why don't you just share more of you? And with that, let's go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's The Pete Wong Podcast. How are you doing? Hope everyone is doing well. I'm excited to begin doing another recording with you. I've been thinking about doing this particular subject for, ever since the day that I will be talking about pretty soon here. What I'm going to do is this is the first time that I am recording, as well as I want to try to use Clubhouse, the Clubhouse app. I've been away, and there's just been a lot of different things that have happened towards the end of the summer here. Got a little overwhelming, and good changes, very, very good, positive changes. And then most recently, I've been preparing for a summit. I did a workshop at a summit, and it was focused on the Asian American community here in Minnesota. And I decided to do the topic on how do we reconnect our childhood in our adulthood, which the focus was on people's relationships with those that raised them, and just been having a lot of conversations around the dynamic of family, and how do you, when you don't agree with the people that raised you, how do you create boundaries around the conversations that you have with them, and the complexity of that and the dynamic of that. So we had a really good workshop, and again, I just really appreciate everyone that showed up for that. And besides that, just been getting back to my work with the kids since the school started. But I'm wanted to get on here and talk about this topic. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to call this episode Tapping into Our Emotions, but I want to focus on the emotion of, or the actual action, I guess, of crying. What got me thinking about this topic in particular was, for the past couple of months, I've been working on a independent feature film. It's a drama, action. The filmmakers are young Hmong filmmakers, and really talented and hardworking, passionate group of individuals, a team actually, group of individuals that make up the team. And just I'm really grateful for having the opportunity. And so I guess I'll just start there, huh? I was trying to figure out where to start, and I just thought of maybe I should just start there. So I'm not going to give away too much of the details. I play a father figure in this film. I won't say too much more than that at the moment. We've been filming different scenes, and it's been nice to get back into doing some film work, and working with some young, talented actors. One of the days, not too long ago, the last time we did some filming, the scene was an emotional one. The content, the subject matter alone was very sad. And when I talked to the director some more and understood what she was going for, what she was envisioning. I was like, okay, so do you want me to cry? She was like, yes. So here's the thing. I love acting and I have enjoyed doing it for as long as I've been doing it. And the more I've done it, the more experience I've gained, the more I've learned to enjoy the process. I prepared myself as best as I could. But here's the thing. I've done acting on stage, in theater. I've done acting in commercials. I've done acting in films, short, and some, small role in feature-length film. But I've never done a crying scene. It's really interesting because I've never done it. I didn't know how to prepare for it, which sounds really normal and really simple and like I'm like, hello, you're stating the obvious. I wanted to, as they say, knock this scene out of the park. Those of you that don't know what that terminology or what that saying means is you basically want to just do the best acting that you've ever done. I told myself that I was going to, give my best. And, I because I've been doing this for a while and because I've really picked up a couple of tricks and the process and really learn from others and learn from myself. And I'm just also a different person. The experiences that I've had in life, the lifestyle that I choose to have now, the perspective of life, it's very different. As I was preparing, I told myself, you know what, like I believe in myself that somehow by the end of the day or when my part is wrapped for the day, I'm going to feel really good. The truth was, I was not sure what, you could say that, but going in unknown, you never know. So the location was at a house on a farm and probably like 45 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour, probably about 45 minutes away. But it was bright and early. And that morning it was storming and raining harder than it's been in a long time. Got out there and, I met up with the other actors and the crew. And once they decided what they were going to do because of the weather, the order of the shoot, the director was like, yeah, we're going to do your scene. And then we'll move on to the others. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's a good thing because, then my part's done and I can be on my way and enjoy the rest of the day in the stormy weather. I got to tell you, there was this feeling that was looming over me, which was I got the butterflies, but the butterflies are a little different than they were when I was younger, and I have the butterflies I have this expectation that I want to, like I said, I want to do my best and I want to make it the best scene I've ever done. But I was nervous and just got all these thoughts in my head wow, this is kind of a tough task. It's because I just never done it before and I didn't know, I've never felt, I didn't have the process. My body didn't know, okay, how does this feel? Kept on telling myself, okay, we're just going to do it. It was really funny because I don't have a lot of experience with, creating this kind of emotion on camera. I don't know if I was the only one, but I was serious. I was like, okay, like this is like it was hard for me to not be serious because I would have to channel something really deep. What I did was I remembered, I forgot if it was Robin Williams or the other actor Jake Gyllenhaal, who said at one time, I know Robin Williams and Jake Gyllenhaal, I know, different kind of actors. I know. They said when you're doing a sad scene, try to find the laughter, the humor. And when you're doing a funny, humorous scene, try to find the drama, the serious, undertone. I just kept that in mind. Everyone's setting up, getting the lights ready, the camera ready. The director, wants to do a run through, a rehearsal run through. And I pull the young actor aside and I tell him a very personal story in my life, because I thought that's where I would start off channeling my sadness. I think what's interesting about this is that, again, I'm not an expert at this, so I'm not sure exactly how to talk about this, but I'm just sharing. And I've done a lot of therapy work within myself personally, dealing with the exact thing that I shared with the young actor. But I told the young actor, I said, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I just want you to trust it's all going to work out. And I trust in you and what you're going to, do, and we'll find our way. So I shared with him the morning that I found out that my best friend had committed suicide. And I told him that this is probably what I'm going to be using to get me to this place, among other things that have hurt me in my life, losing people, the thought of losing people. But I told him not to worry. It's just my process. And he's just a young kid, and he's like, okay. But it was really cool because as young as he is, he's got this confidence and carefreeness about him and innocence that really made me want to support him and guide him, and because I was playing the father, in many ways lead him. Both as an actor and as the role that I was playing. The scene is that I'm talking on the phone, and the way that we rehearsed it, at the read through, a week before, 2 weeks before, the actions that I did, once I got into that location, and once I was in wardrobe, and once I, had felt out the scene, and I started to feel like, wow, these actions that I'm doing actually don't feel natural. I had to do the scene, do the action in order to find my way to what the natural actions might be. Not necessarily for me, but for this situation and this character. Did it a couple times, and one tip, you actors out there, if you want to know, and I'll share it with you, my tip is, at some point, you got to have the confidence to just let go and trust that whatever is happening needs to happen. But it's also like in life, how at some point when you're in the moment, you just have to let go and trust. And you don't need to put so much constriction and expectation on yourself or those around you. At some point, I got so into it, and I remembered that whole thing about finding laughter. One of those crew members made a joke. I don't remember if everybody on the crew laughed or if he just laughed at his own joke, but I laughed. I turned to him and I said, "Thank you. I really appreciate your laughter at this moment. And he probably didn't know what the heck I was talking about, because inside I was going through a lot of this, like, in and out. How am I supposed to feel these, sad, very serious emotions and then emote on camera while the rest of the crew is like having a good time, joking around, and they're very like relaxed and carefree, and it's really interesting, just the dichotomy of these things. So there I am doing the scene, and it's starting to come out, and I'm like in it, and I'm like, okay, we're there, we're getting there. I'm gonna take a little breather, and I'm gonna not go all out until the cameras roll. By going all out, I mean truly just letting go, and letting my belief in my experience as an actor, and my belief as a human being that's been living and been doing a lot of personal healing work, is ready to do this. We started rolling, and I would do the scene, and I felt it, but I also felt like I was not being as natural as I wanted it to be. One of the crew members has a dog. I think the dog's name is Sadie, and so Sadie was running around, and I was like, hey, can we just put Sadie right here, right next to me? They're like, okay. So they put the dog right next to me, and the director was like, action. And I just disappeared into this room. I was not, I just went into it. I was feeling it. And I looked at the dog, and I thought about the loss that was happening in this moment, and I just started to cry. And it's just interesting how that happened instantly. And then the young actor came in, and we did our scene, and we did a couple takes, and then the second take, the dog ran out. We put the dog right there, and it's like action, and then the dog ran out. But by then I had already found my place in that character, in that room, in that moment, that I could replicate it, even though I'd be changing each take slightly. I could replicate it. It was exhausting, but it was also really fun. At one point, the young actor did the scene, and then his character has to run out because he's upset. And he ran out into the kitchen. He slipped. And for some reason, I just had this like in body, out of body experience where I was watching him, I was doing my role, the camera was on me, and I maybe it was because my experience as an actor and just how much care I care about the craft, and how much fun it is. And I just held the scene to my own, while inside I was like, oh my gosh, I want to laugh. And so as soon as the director said cut, I was, everybody was laughing. But it was just like a beautiful moment, playing. And I guess we call this flow state. Eventually the camera was off of me, and I could kind of ease. But I remembered, another thing I remembered is Jack Nicholson when he did A Few Good Men. And when they flipped the camera onto Tom Cruise's character, and Jack Nicholson was just doing the voicing, Jack Nicholson still gave it his all, is what a lot of people that were watching said. And it made me think, okay, I'm going to give this kid my all, because we're doing this scene together, and I he deserves to get just as much as he did for me. Eventually though, my energy got zapped. I was like, I'm done. And that was okay, because we had gotten what we needed to get. I'm not sure how much of this will stay in the film, how much will get cut off, and as they say, left on the cutting room floor, even though it's digital now. But I'm so happy and proud of just that day. The reason why I wanted to share this with you all is because I feel like there needs to be a priority of this practice of tapping into our emotions in life. I recently saw a coach on Instagram. I forgot his name, and I didn't have it with me. And he did this video where we would come in and slam hard on his bed, and then it's probably like a TikTok video or something like that. But he wrote the words that he is. This is how he deals with his emotion of anger, and he's like hitting the bed and screaming and he wrote that for him it's a process of exerting, it's a process of tapping into that primal nature of letting go, of exhausting that emotion until that emotion is no longer necessary, and he can move on into a different state, a different state of mind, a state of being, emotion. Instead of lashing out or hurting someone with that anger, he's finding a healthier way of letting that go. I find that very important to all of us, especially men, just because, as we've been discussing, as I've shared a number of times in my research and conversations with other men, the importance of recognizing our emotions, recognizing how we're feeling, and finding a better solution for how to exert that. But I also think that crying, just like anger, is another emotion that we need to, if we don't have a process, if we don't have a practice, we really need to start. Because I'm going to be honest. I'm going to share with you just thinking about it. Even though I grew up in a very loving household and men that my father, my brother, that and mentors that did show emotion, that did feel things, and very rarely ever like acted out of, anger, at least imposed their anger onto someone through violence. I do think that our family has had to work, all of us has had to work on anger and how to manage that, how to deal with that. And not necessarily that we're angry all the time, but when we do get angry, how do we process those feelings? But going back to crying, I don't know if it's just because of my Chinese American culture, but I didn't grow up witnessing or being able to shadow or imitate other men who cry. I do cry. When something really bad happened, I would cry and I wouldn't hide it. But this whole thing about giving yourself permission to cry at any point, at any time, and not to feel shameful, not to feel embarrassed by it, and really to get yourself to a place where you just see it as another form of emotion that we as human beings have at our tool belt as being human. It really didn't start for me until I went through a friend's meditation, guided meditation. And it was like a day by day type of thing. And it was like, it would increase like a minute each day. And I believe by day 20, it was like at some point she talked about, it was at a point in my life where when there was a lot of talk about looking at life not for lack, not for what the things that we don't have, not to be fearful or worried about the things that we don't have, but to see life in more in the abundance of what it is or what it could be. I think I just really needed that in my life at that moment. And even now sometimes. But I remember sitting there meditating and just crying. And I just had this cathartic release. And that was just one time I can remember. Another time, I know I was with my mentor, Orpheus Black, and I know I was probably sharing something very personal with him. And at some point, because I felt so safe around him, that whatever pain I was going through, I could cry. That I could express this very human, natural feeling that so many of us suppress, so many of us push down, that we become so numb to, we don't know how to access it. And because so many of us choose to not explore that emotion, we eventually get lost in what that feels or how that could feel. And then we start building shame around it. But the truth is, when you can get yourself to that point where you can allow it, where you can begin to practice it, it might require you to have a coach. It might require you to have a close friend or family, or some traumatic thing happened to you. I don't know. There's a number of ways, but I can only speak from my experience. And I gotta tell you, there are so many times now where I'll be listening to a powerful guided meditation and I'll just start crying. Or I'll be watching a film and I just watched the Mark Wahlberg produced Father Stew, and I just put it on, seeing that he was a boxer and seeing there's a spiritual connection, and I didn't know that he was pursuing acting too at one point, Stuart Long. But there were so many scenes where I just felt compassion and I felt empathy. It's important for me to share this with y'all because I'm learning so much about leaning into my power when it presents itself. I think the reason why I connect with people, the reason why people tell me time after time they enjoy my workshops, they enjoy my facilitating, they enjoy this podcast, they enjoy when I teach, is because I've experienced a lot of pain in my life. I've experienced losing people and things not going the way that I at first wanted. But I've also learned to value and learn to see another perspective of it, which is to be grateful. To be grateful, to learn. Because through the heartache, through the pain, through the suffering, I've learned so much about what's possible. And when you see the other side, when you present the opportunity that wasn't presented before to you because you gave yourself that chance, because you said, I'm grateful for what's been presented to me, that I'll take whatever you give me and I'm going to run with it. I'm going to roll with it. And then life shows you something. And it taps into emotions of you that have always been there, but maybe you didn't allow to come out. I share the acting story because I never knew how the actors that I really admire, the Denzel Washington, the Tom Hanks, the Robin Williams, the other actors that have scenes where they're crying, and I've connected to it, and in some cases it's shaped part of my life and my character. How do they do that, and do they have to do it like cry on like that on the dime, as they say? And when I experienced that, I felt like I grew as an actor in my skills, yes, but as me. And I have to be grateful for just all the different experiences and knowledge and things that I've been able to take in the practice. But it's not just the acting that I think is important. It's that now I have these tools, this process, where I'm allowing myself to feel these emotions as a part of everyday life. So if you'd like to know more about maybe, the different ways that I have found help tap into these different emotions, or want some resources as to just this topic of emotions and how do we tap into them, send me a message or comment below. I'll do what I can. I'm just very enthused about wanting to share this with others because I think a lot of us are hurting. A lot of us feel like we can't feel emotions because we never learned how to. But the truth is, all you gotta do is step away from who you were and just say, yeah, I can feel these things. And then it begins. But you have to allow yourself to have that cathartic release, to be angry without hurting someone, to be happy, but for it to be a genuine happiness. My favorite way of tapping into emotions, I always tell people, is laughter. When I'm sitting around people that I love and somebody says something and I just, you get that gut laugh and it just like doesn't stop, and you don't have to think about it. It just keeps coming out, and sometimes your tears come out. And you just are grateful for just being here in that moment. Because it's only the people, it's that chemistry, whatever you've developed recently or through the years, that's why that happened. It's because the people in that space want that to happen. So I think a good way to start is by tapping into humor, laughing, and allowing yourself to have more laughter and joy. I don't know about this Clubhouse thing. I guess you got to have people in there. So, all right. Well, hopefully the next recording won't take so long, but I really appreciate all of you, and thanks for listening. I'll catch you all next time. And as always, remember, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are enough. Blessings to all of you.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. And remember, you are loved, you are enough, and you are worthy. Blessings to all of you.